All right. Let's bring in Markwe. She also has some questions for you. Markwe?
Well, I find it very interesting that on the one hand, everyone in the Niger Delta, from your account, seems to be very interested in this forensic audit. But then there's also the part where everybody's looking at the legality or otherwise of those who are competent to handle the audit. Isn't that covering or isn't that overshadowing the fact that people are glad? Because on the one hand, we cannot claim to be glad about something, but on the other say that, we're not very confident or we're not sure that the president has gone about it in the right manner.
Markwe, if you listened to me earlier, that's why I suggested that the president should employ the services of an internationally reputable organization to conduct the audit. To that extent, we can have some form of confidence so that we can, because this is not the first time an audit has been set up for the NDDC and it has come to naught. And like I tell you, that organization, it's so powerful. So we welcome it, but we see a lot of characters. Now, one of the things we can quickly see now, but does it not bother you that...
I want to expatiate. If you may, if I may butt in there, you talked about the inauguration of the board, which has been screened by the Senate. Some people will say that it is the president's prerogative to decide when he wants to do it. There is no time stipulated by the law under which he must conduct an inauguration for the board of the NDDC. How can you be talking about that in the same breath talk about, why this is going on under an interim management? That's the audit.
If I get your question right, Mark, but the inauguration of the board does not in any way hinder the forensic auditing of the board. Because firstly, the members of the new board, as it is now, we are not part of the NDDC that you want to forensically audit. And just because we want to forensically audit the NDDC does not mean that we should stop the work in progress in the NDDC, which means the development of the NDDC. So by that, if that happens, are people suggesting that because they want to forensically audit the board, that the NDDC should not be working, a board should not come to place to carry on the projects of the NDDC, probably for the next 1 year, just because somebody wants to forensically audit it. So what we are saying is that the NDDC should move on, should be allowed to carry on its duties while the forensic audit is going on. Except we are saying, which is not, that members of the current board were part of the previous corruption, which is obviously not. That is why some of us are not too comfortable with this recent power play of an interim management committee. Because that is why we are also saying that what is the interim management committee really coming to do? It's blurred, it's ambiguous, it's not clear in any way. So members of because the NDDC has to come full-fledged with all of its appointments. Don't forget that the board appointments of the NDDC does not just contain the MD, the EDP, the Executive Director Project and the Executive Director Finance and Administration. It contains everybody, including the state reps, and so we need that full-fledged because the Niger Delta needs that speed to move on. So that doesn't hinder it, and nobody should lay claim to that argument. There's no hindrance. The two work
have been done.
Comfortable with the interim board. If for now the interim managing director says that more than 50 contractors have moved back to site, that work is going on, even as a forensic audit is about to happen, if it's not happening yet, what is making you uncomfortable with this interim board?
Are you suggesting that that wouldn't have been done by the board that is rightly put? Are we also suggesting that probably the 3 members in the interim board are angels that were brought from heaven, different from the normal humans that were appointed? The point is, they are all neutral bodies. So let the NDDC come in full-fledged. And let me also say, let the presidency not suggest to Nigerians that there's a form of confusion in the presidency, which is what it seems, and which shouldn't be. And that is why earlier on I described it as a petty power play that is to the detriment of the people of the Niger Delta. You have nominated a board, except the presidency is saying that it does not have confidence in the board that she has nominated, which is also laughable. But for the pedigree of people like Maxwell Oko, who is not just not knowledgeable about the issues of the Niger Delta, but it was part of the struggles that led to the birthing of the NDDC. When we see people like that in the interim board, we are comfortable. But summarily, what I'm telling you is that the 3-member committee that was nominated as interim management committee are just normal human beings from the Niger Delta. Then the full board is normal human beings from the Niger Delta with capacity to suit. So what the full board will do, what the 3-man would have done, the full board will even do more. So why the petty power play? So you begin to ask questions like, why in one breath the president will submit names to the Senate for confirmation, having the full board, 100% of it, and in another breath, the president wants 30% of that capacity to match. So it's fishy. So that's why we're taking this advantage to tell the president that it should be, the president and the presidency, it should be properly guided. It should not play into the petty politics of the NDDC. Don't forget that one of the problems of the NDDC has always been the over-politicization of the NDDC. The NDDC has always been a tool for political funding, which is what we should walk away from. Forensic audit, fantastic. Let's know why the NDDC, after receiving about 2 trillion, cannot even complete its headquarters.